and I can see Michael Roberto. Manage is with Leju, and then Michael Roberto is together with the Honorable Ben. So that's it, right? Justin? Oh, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon from Juba, and then good morning or good evening to other people listening in other parts of the world. You are highly welcome to this webinar. This is the first of its kind webinar that SACCO has organized, and then it's organized at this challenging time. So the topic, the point of discussion is quite clear. We're looking at agriculture sector performance against the African Union CADEP Malabo Declaration 2014, before and in the context and post-COVID-19 pandemic in South Sudan. As we begin, we would like to welcome everyone, and then we ask everyone to mute their microphone when they are not talking, and then unmute when they have the chance to talk, when they are given the opportunity. So to give you a brief background to this, we all know that in June 2014, the African heads of states and the government adopted the Malabo Declaration on accelerated growth and transformation for shared prosperity and improved livelihood with the 7 commitments, which includes the commitment to the principles and the values of the process. We have enhancing investment finance in agriculture to a minimum of 10% from the national budget. We have number 3, to end hunger in Africa by 2025 by doubling current agricultural productivity levels and halving post-harvest losses. We have number 4, which is halving poverty by 2025 through agriculture. We have number 5, which is boosting intra-African trade in agriculture, commodities, and services by 2025. And number 6 is enhancing resilience to climate variability. The last one is enhancing mutual accountability for actions and the results. So in 2015, the government of South Sudan, through the leadership of the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, launched an ambitious plan called the Comprehensive Agriculture Master Plan, and then the IDMP as well, which is the Irrigation Development Master Plan. All these documents were aligned with the Malabo Declaration under the CADEP framework. So today we are trying to examine to what extent have we implemented this document. Where are we? What's the status of the country? What is it that is holding us back? How can we move forward? So those are the things that we will be discussing today. And for that matter, we have a group of panelists here with us. Justin, can you put the screen for the panelists? So to discuss this matter, we have Clara Lumori. She's a smallholder farmer based in Juba. She also heads a cooperative in Juba. So we have Mr. Michel Malo, who is a Food and Agricultural Organization country representative. We have Assistant Professor Michael Kenyi, who is the Assistant Professor for Food Security at the University of Juba. He is also the consultant who helped SACCO in compiling the data on this declaration, the commitment, on the 7 commitment. We have Dr. George Leju, the cadet and the Director General at the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security in South Sudan. We also have Honorable Deng Tong Kwon, who is the Agriculture. We have John Pangech, the Director General for Planning at the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. It is our honor as the South Sudan Agricultural Producers Union to welcome you all. We also welcome all the participants within South Sudan and across South Sudan, and then abroad as well, who have spared the time to join us by this particular time. We have started a bit late, so we'll be rushing a little bit fast. With this, let me invite the South Sudan Agricultural Producers Union, SAPO, Chief Executive Officer, to have a brief opening remark, and then we can continue right from there. Jimmy, you are welcome.
Thank you, all members and participants who are joining us this afternoon. Mine is just to welcome you people on behalf of South Sudan Agricultural Producers Union. My name is Jimmy Kato. I'm the CEO for South Sudan Agricultural Producers Union. We have invited people from the Netherlands, from Israel, and from across the region. So I think it's going to be a very good, interesting moment. We also apologize for the short notice on the invitation. And here we are just going to discuss and participate together and collaborate and see that together we will be able to make it. And with this, I would like to say that after this, we shall be able to share the report of all these findings of the union. You're most welcome, and thank you very much for participating.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. That was very brief. I thank you so much for that. Because I think Clara is still struggling to connect, so we will skip a kind of a presentation on the situation of farmers at Juba Rural, their challenges and opportunities brought by COVID-19 pandemic. And so we skip for the meantime as this struggle and begin with
Naomba uzime wifi. Naomba uzime wifi, please.
6.5 million people. In terms of production, there was a production of about 800,000 metric tons. That was quite commendable in relation to about 1.3 million, which is the required cereal need of the country. This leaves a gap of about 500,000 metric tons. And as most of us know, given the competing demands around the world, it is the international community could only support up to 400,000 metric ton. So it is very, very important that South Sudan continues to produce its own food. And that's why the area of food production, FAO currently, we are really trying to move on a mantra on how can South Sudan exit from food aid, because 800,000, the gap that we are having of 500,000, we really believe that if we put in measures together, if we work together, then we are able to produce this deficit. Generally, it's a challenge because every year you first have to produce, for instance, for last year was 800,000, the country has to produce 800,000 before thinking of moving into another, reducing the deficit by a further 200,000. But I sincerely believe that it is possible. If you see the amount of investment, last year the country, the food aid was about 380,000 metric tons. When you look at the investment for the 380 metric tons versus the investment in the 800,000 metric tons, you will see that that amount is really huge in terms of bringing in food aid. And so the country could really work to push towards production because it has a people that understand farming. When we look at the fishery sector, that is a sector that is just ripe. Many people make the comment that it's only in South Sudan and Somalia that fish dies out of old age. So it's a sector that post-harvest losses and preservation is the only thing that is coming between South Sudan and development. So that's an area that is really, really significantly important. The livestock sector is another area that we have to focus in when we look at agriculture. So South Sudan is one of the countries with the highest number of livestock numbers, but the commercialization sector is very low. So that's an area that we really need to work on when we are looking at the food security and the farming situation around South Sudan. But another area is the forestry, because we as FAO, we are really encouraging that we look at sector. And so the forestry sector, this country is not reaping the full gains the country should get. When you look at, for instance, a small area like gum and resins and honey, I think the production of South Sudan in gums and resins can easily be mirrored by the production that with the trade in Sudan. So those are areas in which we believe as FAO that this country can really move forward up the farming situation. But with the peace process now at hand, it is a high time that the dividends of peace begin to come out. And from FAO perspective and from where I sit, the best dividend of peace for South Sudan is when South Sudan will have been able to exit from food aid. It is when South Sudan, the 6.5 million people that are projected as food insecure, which is about 54% of the population, that number reduces. So I see that in terms of the update of the current food security situation, the situation is not good. And you can see that was without COVID-19, which has brought in another 1.6 million people, particularly in the city, and without the desert locusts, which we are really working strongly to ensure that we are able to minimize the damage. But the peace, which although now we are tending to forget with the current COVID-19, is one huge dividend that we can look forward to. And if that we can reduce this number, then we can move in very fast. When you look at areas like Yambio, these are areas in which a crop that is doing very well in the international world, like sesame, is the people there have the knowledge of growing it. It's only the productivity level. So let me leave it at that. And with the pandemic of COVID-19, generally we have loss of livelihood. There is the increase in the cost of living, which is happening all over the world. We have scarcity in supplies, and definitely the reduced income and the reduction in oil price has a big impact on the government. The price of oil has dipped from as high as the early 40s, moving down to the 20s and even below 20s, which is affecting the government coffers in a big way. Let me leave it at that for my 5 minutes. Thank you so much for this invitation.
Thank you very much, Mishek Malo. That was a great insight. But before you go, please, can you shed more light? For example, can you touch on the seed supply? How have we been maintaining this during this pandemic, with all the government regulation, maintaining the physical distancing, avoiding crowding places? I know most of the approach FAO has been using has been through the seed distribution through partners. How are you coping up with this at this particular time?
Yeah, thank you so much for this question. In fact, immediately this pandemic started knocking and we were seeing it around the world, we came up with a slogan on race against time to ensure seed distribution. FAO, we distribute about 10 million kilograms of seeds. So it has been a big challenge to ensure that we are able to distribute at this time. Luckily, despite the lockdown, the government considered the distribution of tools and seed as an essential service. So that has been going on. And actually, we were able to receive seeds much earlier than before because the roads were much more clear. We imported basically the seeds here. Unfortunately, we are still importing from Uganda, Sudan, Kenya, Italy, and the Netherlands. We were only able to buy about 26% of all our seeds from South Sudan. And that we were able to sweep across the 2,000 metric tons that farmers were able to avail to us to purchase. That is minus the ones that we are going to do through seed fairs. So the challenge has been, for instance, this week, we are dealing with about 160 metric tons that are stuck in Bentiu. The police commissioner there stopped our about 20 trucks, and it took 1 week. By the time they are out, now it is raining heavily and the trucks cannot move. So you can imagine that form of investment. It becomes very, very frustrating. 160 metric tons, that's about 1.6 million kilos. That would have been very helpful in our wheel areas that are now not able to reach. Other options of trying to get them through airdrops is very expensive. But this season, we have so far been able to do airdrops of about 60,000 kilograms. But this is particularly in the greater Upper Nile. So generally, our farmers are social distancing. I think this is not such a big problem. The big problem was with the movement. For instance, the team that was supposed to move from here going to the regions to support that is not possible. The trainings we were supposed to do is not possible. Pangesh will tell you later on, even undertaking the IPC is something that the group has been sitting to discuss more how to do in light with the COVID-19 and restricting movement. So it has an impact, but by and large, I think using about 55 partners, we have had to come with very innovative ways to undertake the distribution.
Thank you so much, Mishek, and that was very, very clear. We hope we'll get back to you in the near future as we proceed, because we still need more to learn from you. Justin, can you go to the slides of the program? What is it that follows? Okay, so after the update, I see Clara is still not connected. So can we move then to Pangej, John Pangej? John Pangej is the Director General for Planning at the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. He's also the team leader for the CAM and IDMP, the implementation program. So for some of you who may not know what CAM or IDMP mean is, CAMP is standing for Comprehensive Agriculture Master Plan, and IDMP stands for Irrigation Development Master Plan. Some of these documents in other countries are referred to as the National Agriculture Investment Plan. So, Pangej, 5 years now since this document was launched in 2015. can you tell us to what extent have we implemented it to make sure that we are able to reach the desired level in achieving the goals contained in the Malabo Declaration? John Panget, you are welcome.
Mr. John
John
Panget, you
Panget?
are welcome. I see
You
your
hear me?
microphone is on mute. Yeah,
Yes,
now I can hear you.
You can hear me now. Hello?
Yes, you can be heard
You
very
hear
well.
me?
You're welcome. Yes, you can proceed.
Yeah, thank
You're
you.
welcome, yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, all of you. First, thank you, moderator. Now, start with recognizing the importance of food security in the country as we started in 2006 in the country here. Coming 2011, we decided to look around in the country and see what is going on in this particular country in terms of food security situation. Then in 2012, we decided to go around the country and develop the master plan to ensure that we turn things around in the country. So having studied the situation analysis of the country in the context of South Sudan, then we decided now we say, okay, we are ready to develop a comprehensive agriculture master plan really to transform this. And one of the objectives was first to ensure that our peoples that are largely subsistence should really be supported in terms of increasing their acreage to meet their subsistence and also to get some money in their pocket. Now, after we developed this master plan, started from 2012 until 2015 when we finished. Yes, it is now 5 years. What now happened is that, as you know, the country has not been in a peaceful environment, been some war right before we concluded CAM, then the war started in 2013. And then all right along as then the CAM was concluded, there were still also conflict in the country. So, you know, agriculture is very nervous when it comes to conflict situation, and also more or less the same, like if there is a drought and so forth. So now, since then, 2015 until today, it has been very difficult for us to implement CAM due to budgetary line that the Ministry of Agriculture is having. And it has not actually give us a way forward to ensure that we go. And that is one of the big problems that we see hindering the implementation of this document. The second area is also we are trying to see that let all of us, if we want to solve the issue of the food security in this country, we come together, private sector, and also all of us with plus supporting entity like the development partners, we also need to come together to start actually doing something. But this has not happened. Now, the only small part of CAM that is being under implementation is just we are trying to capacitate the line ministries, director of planning, and also line directory to ensure that we have those capacity in terms of planning for the projects in CAM, because CAM has got, in a crop alone, has got about 35 projects. And if all these 35 projects is actually addressed, even 5 of them, I think things could have been much better. So I would like to make very clear on record that our problem is actually another areas of coordinating with our partners is another problem. As you may know, the focus is on humanitarian. But humanitarian will not help our people to really turn around agriculture. And this is where the problem is also. Because agriculture is a developmental nature. It's not a humanitarian food aids. And we are trying to ensure that this is turned around, but it's still very difficult from our side. And I think I saw Honorable there, you need to know that the important aspect for you to do is to ensure that we have funding necessary to implement this agriculture. So my colleague Leju will be talking about Malabo declarations, but I'm only talking on the budgetary and planning part from the government of the Republic of South Sudan that we are engaged in. So it's the parliament that we are supposed to make things happening in terms of funding necessary for agriculture. So colleagues, with these very few remarks on this update on implementations, I would like to remain here so that I give room for people who might need to have some questions, then I will be able to answer. So I thank you very much, moderator, this afternoon.
Thank you very much. That was very brief and direct to the point, and we have noted it's the issues to do with budget. And we are very privileged today to have the Honorable Chairperson for Agricultural Committee at the Parliament. So very soon we believe the budget consultation has started, and then it might reach the Parliament sooner rather than later for the debate. So he's also here. He will say something about that in a while when his time comes. We will get back to you for more details, but for the meantime, I would like to bring to the attention of the participants that for questions and whatever that or inputs that you would like to contribute, please you text on the chat and then send myself here or Emmanuel Justin in Tanzania will be able to read. Otherwise, thank you so much, Pangej. So we have to rush to another to the next presenter. And then this presentation next now is from a consultant that SAPO contracted to collect data and analyze on the 7 commitment area of the Malabo Declaration. And then he is Michael Roberto, the Assistant Professor for Food Security at the University of Juba. Can you then come up now and present the data that you gathered? Thank you, Roberto. You have 6 minutes. I see you have quite a number of slides, but we are more interested in the figures regarding the 7 commitment. I hope you will manage your time. Roberto, you are welcome. Roberto, are you there? Michael Roberto?
Yes, seems like we have lost Mr. Michael Roberto.
You have lost Michael Roberto?
Yes, I don't see him here.
This is serious, huh?
Maybe in the meantime, I would suggest, as we are waiting for Mr. Michael Roberto, we can proceed with the other presenters, as we are looking forward to hear from him.
So then can you bring the program up?
Yes, and that's Mr. Dr. George Leju,
Okay.
whom will highlight
I believe,
issues.
Yeah.
Whom will highlight issues that arose during the implementation of AU-Malabo declaration.
Yeah. I think Dr. Leju is around, is available.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me well?
You are welcome, Dr. Leju. Dr. Leju is
Thank you, panel.
Yeah.
I will briefly summarize actually the Malabo Declaration.
Okay.
In relations to the agriculture production and productivity. You know the 7 commitments that has been declared by Malabo actually gives us an opportunity to improve our agriculture production and productivity. If you look at the 7 commitments, there are sub-commitments. But in our 2014 and 2018 Bayana report, we did not present it on time, and therefore it was not actually highlighted on the report. But 2019 Bayana report actually was highlighted, and we were rated as 2.82 benchmarks, which is about actually not on track. Why we are not on track is simply because of the commitment that we are supposed to follow. First of all, the financial commitment that is declared that we should, the country should give 10% of its national budget to agriculture production. But if you look at a percentage, by last year, what was contributed to the agricultural sector, including environment, crop production, forestry, livestock, contributed to 0.3%. That is down below the 10%. And if you look at the commitments of food production and productivity, we are supposed to work with the farmers to increase the production, the private sectors and the investors to increase crop production. Government alone cannot do that. But if you see along the line, we have not been able to increase that production because we are not able to give farmers what they require, like seeds on time, tools, and whatever it is, because of the financial constraint that we have. We look at the hunger reduction by 2025. Unless we produce subsistence and commercial, we are not able to reach into that line of 2025 hunger reduction. If you look at our trade, which is supposed to be done, how much do we export to the neighboring countries in terms of our crops and commodities? Our statistics is so poor that we don't have much actually, but other than we are feeders, we are consumers. So this actually gives us a little benchmark in recording of the activities. Post-harvest losses. We have not been able to monitor the post-harvest losses from crop production down the way to consumption because we lack the data along the 10 states and along the 32 states that have been baseline for production. The activities on youth and women in agriculture production. You know very well that the war has actually given a big constraint to our agriculture production and productivity in all the states.
Yeah.
How many women are involved in production? And therefore, these are the Malabo declaration that we are supposed to gear towards that. And if you look at the score of course, as I mentioned, it's 2.8. We are down below, not really. 4 countries are only on track. So the rest are not on track, simply because of the obligations, the sub-commitments that we are unable to meet on time. And this is going to be a continuous exercise. This exercise is good because so that we can improve the next binary in 2018 situation of COVID. This is going to be a problem. Are our farmers going to be engaged in production this year, let alone last year, but this year? Can we improve that? Can we supply the commodities or the needs of the farmers on time? These are the things that we need to emphasize. But above all, unless we get this 10% or at least 2 or 3 or 5% of the agriculture of the national budget to agriculture production, we are not going to meet those demands. It is a challenge to us and a challenge to everybody. And so this is in brief that I can tell you about the Malabo Declaration and the commitment, the 7 commitments and sub-commitments. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's very great. And then thank you so much for that. You mentioned South Sudan is called 2.8 something. And then I think for for the African Union, the way they do the calculation is for the country to be on track, just to reach 6.6% percent. Why do you think South Sudan registered this 2.8? Because it's an achievement to some extent. In which area do you think the country really performed better based on the 7 indicators? Dr. George?
Is not on mark simply because of the commitments that I've mentioned. We have not produced enough food that can feed the community. That is one line that we have not been done. Post-harvest losses, we have not been able to measure the post-harvest losses. And therefore, we are not able to measure. We put in the report, not available, the information not available. Trade and industry, we are supposed to find out how much are we trading with our neighboring countries. Are we losing or are we gaining? These reports are not coming, you see? And youth and women in agriculture production. How many youth are involved in agriculture production? How many women are involved in agriculture production? In our general report, we are not segregating this. If we are segregating it through the system, that is Crop Food Security Assessment Mission and IPC, then we will know exactly what we can do. But because these reports have not been coming forward, most of the things we say unavailable. And therefore, that is why we get this 2.89 scorecard.
Okay. I think that's very clear now. It also presents that not only the budget issue, but we also have issues to do with the gathering data and then having a system for data management and reporting as well. We hope these are kind of areas that we really look forward to see that we get to improve on. Thank you very much for that. We will come back to you in a few times. I can see Michael Roberto and even Honorable Deng Tong available. Michael Roberto, are you there? Can you come up now with the presentation?
Michael, can you please unmute your microphone? Mr. Michael, you are still on mute. Kindly unmute your microphone and proceed. Yes, you're welcome.
Yes. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Your Excellency, the FAO representative for South Sudan, Honorable Deng Tong Kual, the Chairman of Agriculture and Food Security in the Transitional National Legislative Assembly, the DGs from the Ministry of Agriculture, our forum, and the South Sudan host, the South Sudan Agriculture Producers Union, and the representative of the farmers. I'm really happy to share with you the report that was compiled after a number of consultation with you, and also with consulting the documents that are available, and then also some key informants and a little bit of the last meeting that we had in the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security.
Sorry for interrupting you. Honorable Ton, can you mute your microphone? Honorable Ton?
Just mute.
Oh yeah. So it's okay. Then Michael, you can continue.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So I had at the beginning of this month and had an opportunity to share my thoughts with the Southern Sudan Agricultural Producers Union, and this was a very great challenge for
Sorry,
me.
Mr.
I was
Michael.
so happy.
Michael, sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
I think they are a bit close, Mr. Michael and Honorable Deng. If they can be at least distant, because we can hear some
Very
echo.
close.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Now it's good.
Is it okay now?
Yes, please
We're waiting
proceed
for
and
him
we'll.
to move.
Okay.
Sorry, it
So,
happened. Stop.
really, about the background is already available in the material that was shared by the Agricultural Producers Union. But let me go straight away to our assessment of agriculture sector in South Sudan vis-a-vis the Malabo Declaration. I think I've heard the previous speakers, including the FAOR and the DGs, about the agricultural sector. But this is what I really feel that the 7 commitments that were endorsed by the heads of state and government are the flagship for all the continent. And they expected that all the stakeholders are expected to be pooling all the resources to implement these 7 commitments. And these 7 commitments are very clear, and I need not to go back to it because you have already shared with from the beginning. But what is important is a commitment related to the investment in agriculture. And the investment in agriculture is really the budget allocation. And this budget allocation, I will start with the regional public spending, especially in the 2 countries, Rwanda and Uganda.
Sorry, let me interrupt you a bit.
Yes.
Justin, where is the presentation?
I send it to you.
No, I'm asking Justin. Justin, can you project it on the screen here?
Yes, here it is. It is
yes,
on my screen. Yes.
Because okay, yeah. So you can project, and Michael, you can go direct.
Slide number 5.
Yeah.
Because of time, let us start from slide number 5.
It's okay, as Justin is trying to display it on the screen. That's good. But you can also speak as he is setting things up.
It is already on the screen. Can you all see it?
No, it's not yet, Justin. You need to display. Okay, yeah, I think it's very fine then now. So, Michael, you can always ask Justin how to move forward, okay?
Okay, all right. Okay, Justin, may I proceed?
Yes, please proceed.
All right, slide number 5 for the benefit of all.
Continue, please.
The regional public spending, it is one of the very important variable in the Comprehensive Africa Agricultural Development Program, right away from 2003, when the heads of states and government endorsed it in Maputo in Mozambique. So the 10% budget allocation from the annual national budget to agriculture, I pick on the 2 countries in the region, is Rwanda and Uganda, and the year from 2014-2015. In 2014-2015, Rwanda, I have no data at that time, and then from 2015-16, the budget allocation was 2.4% from the annual public national budget. And 2016-2017 is 3.8. In Uganda, in 2014-2015 was 3.7, and then 2015-2016 was 3.3, and 16-17 was 4.9. So we compare it to our country, 2.9 was not bad. I think it was almost like coming closer to the region. And then the 2015-16, it came to 2.4. As you can see, the trend, it was moving down 2016 and 2017. And this, in 2017 to 2018, in the next slide, you can see that our national budget allocated to agriculture based on the the national documents that I have come from the Minister of Finance and Planning, that the national budget dropped to 0.4 in 2017-2018. And it is now, last year it was 0.3. And then of course, 2019-2020, which is ending now by the end of this month, it was 0.3. So like there was a zero of budget allocated to agriculture. And the main institution which are entrusted to really ensure food security and nutrition in this country is the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Minister of Livestock and Fisheries, Minister of Environment and Forestry. As we have heard, the subsectors elaborated very well with the FAOR of South Sudan. So because of that picture, you can see the food security situation is very much reflected in the IPC, and 6.35 million people, that is about 54% were reported by integrated base classification in the technical working group in August last year. And you can see that 1.7 million are facing emergency. And of course, surprisingly, also the 10,000 people at the last phase of the IPC, which is a catastrophe. That already reflected that the budget that has been allocated to this sector is really, it is showing itself here by the IPC report. There are a number of challenges that has been mentioned throughout, and I'm so happy that I had that opportunity between March and April to work on the post-harvest losses. We are in the region where I was part of the consultancy in South Sudan. And these were the picture that came out from the experts. I had no opportunity to be talking to the farmers, but from the experts and from the documents, you can see the post-harvest losses between 2019 and the projection to 2025, as it is in Malabo Declaration, that we should reduce the post-harvest losses by half. But the base is 2015. So from 2015 up to 2025, this is how the picture looks like. If you pick on number one, which is the traditional crop of this country, the sorghum, and the experts and from documents, it reflects that 40% sorghum losses in 2015. And the projection is that if we steadily, the support to agriculture with all the partners, the 2025 is 20%, which is the half of 40% in 2015. And all you can see in the table.
Okay.
So from the Malabo Declaration point of view, and especially in the biannual review reports, what could be considered as the areas of a strong performance in the country? The completion of the CADE process seems to be in our country still, though there are a number of documents like the National Agricultural Investment Plan, the MNE, all are incorporated into the Comprehensive Agriculture Development Master Plan, which is popularly known as CADE area of performance, is in regard to Malabo Declaration. And so South Sudan reported during the inaugural report of South Sudan, I think, will not present their reports, so maybe submitted a bit late, but it was only the 2018 that the second biannual review report that South Sudan make that presentation to the CADE declaration to the African Union Assembly this year. So the issue of the support to agriculture, I think it's still, the partners are working very hard, as we have heard all the statistics from the FAOR, that South Sudan has made progress in working closely and in collaborative way with the development partners, like the UN, especially FAO, and then its partners and other NGOs. That in this area of agricultural financing do not come from the government, but the development partners have really made tremendous support to the agricultural sector. The post-harvest losses also, some NGOs who are working, especially the World Vision and the FAO together with the WFP, is making some progress in terms of training to the farmers to how to reduce the post-harvest losses. The private partnership, private-public partnership is also another area in agriculture, work closely, and it still seems to be emerging, but there is a lot of progress that is being made, how to work together, inviting investors to work in the country.
Okay.
The issue of trade.
Can you go to to your recommendation? I'm very sorry we started very late. I know you have a lot to say, but
okay.
Can you maybe come to your
in the recommendations,
what are your key recommendations?
Yes, I think the key recommendations really, if our partners together with the farmers could work closely, just to pick these three. Number one is really to establish a farmers platform, at least to dialogue the government with development partners together with the private sector, the universities and all the stakeholders to amplify the voices of the farmers. And SAPO, which is a South Sudan Agricultural Producers Union, is already an apex of the farmers in South Sudan. But if they amplify their voices, at least especially to the government, and in this case, we are happy that Honorable Deng is with us into the parliament, that at least the 10% budget allocation to agricultural sector, as has been called by the Malabo Declaration, will be really the first priority. That platform, the national level, the state, the country, raise the voice of farmers, and also the social media and electronic media seem to be one of the platforms. The youth may really be involved very much in the amplifying the voice of the youth farmers and even the elderly farmers, including women. So that is number one, that platform. Number two is really the issue of the supply of inputs in terms of types, the quantities, the quantities, the quality, and the timeliness of delivery of these inputs. You can see there are a number of challenges were mentioned by the FAO. The inputs are maybe available across the country, but to bring it into the country in the context of COVID-19, it can be delayed, it cannot be delivered on time. And the issue of also encourage the irrigation, because the country being really challenged by so many pandemics, including the desert locust, the fall armyworm, and then of course the localized physical insecurity. And now with the COVID-19, the flooding, all this really we need to encourage our partners to support the farmers at least to start engaging in irrigation. And then also mechanization, the value chain. In addition, this is a part of the processing. It seems to be also farmers are losing a lot of food from there. And then the issue of marketing, training and extension, the research, and then above all, the issue of coordination. The national government really need to take it up seriously in how to coordinate all these partners so that at least the message for the farmers could be coordinated and integrated, and also providing the policy guidance. The third important area is really how to support the farmers in the land and water management. Now there are areas already, soil fertility seems to have gone down, and they are not also accessing some water, especially the dry season. How would we support the farmers to improve on their soil fertility and then water management? And then the issue of infrastructure, I think this cannot be mentioned so much. This is important to link the production areas to the market and also evacuate the surplus to the deficit areas. And then the post-harvest losses, and also an opportunity to have a trade policy so that at least the farmers could be able to know how much the volume of food that comes from outside could be substituted by local production. Then they strengthen the technology development and the transfer through research and extension and advisory service. And then to support all these three, recommendations, there is need to invest in data collection. I've heard from the DG of Agriculture. The data collection, there is a need for their partners, especially FAO, to support the government to really have a food security and nutrition system, information system that can really work and will be able to use all the templates from the CADEP and Malabo declaration templates should be shared with the partners so that we can start generating the information right away from the beginning of the season. So I think these are the key important recommendations that the indicators are always there. You find them in agricultural sector policy framework. You find also another important document in the country now, the National Development Strategy. Also, there are a number of indicators. And then, of course, the CADEP results framework, as well the biannual review templates, which are appearing on available information, as it was indicated by the technical staff in the ministry. I think we end up here.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. Justin, can you go to slide number 6? Slide number 6, please. Slide number 6. Oh, okay. Can we have Honorable Tom now? Deng Tom, who is the chairperson? Yeah, okay. You are the chairperson of Agriculture Committee at the National Parliament, the Transitional Parliament. That's what we call it nowadays. So in this report, this slide, it indicates exactly the public budget trend for the past 3 years into agriculture. For 2017-2018, you see 0.4%. 2018 to 2019, there is 0.3, and even 2019 to 2020, we still maintain the 0.3. This is contrary to the Malabo declaration, which is calling for a minimum of 10% allocation. And it has been a cross-cutting issue, the issue of budget. Budget is indeed an issue of constraint. What do you say about this? Why are we having this allocation?
Okay, thank you so much. I really want to thank the organizers of this meeting, the panels, the participants. In my view, this meeting is very important and very crucial at this time, the time that our government is preparing for the budget, annual budget. I'm now 3 years a chairperson of this committee of agriculture and food security in the National Assembly. Since I came to this assembly up to now, the budget of the food security and agriculture has not got up for 1% of the whole budget up to now. It can be there at 3%, 0.3%, 0.4%, and that percentage. I think the problem of this non-increment of the budget itself, it is the preparation of the budget itself. The budget cannot be prepared through the procedures that the budget is supposed to be prepared. Like the budget is not go through the ministries, the concerned ministries to give their views in the budget. We have something called ceiling budget. This ceiling budget, we got it came to the parliament. We talked so many times. It's not addressing the real problem of the real issues that is supposed to be addressed by the budget itself. Because this ceiling budget is only the Minister of Finance and his team in the Ministry of Finance are sitting and looking and allocate the money to the ministries. For instance, for agriculture, they can give only last budget, I think it was 160 million SSP. With that one, I think it's only can be consumed only in the salaries of the employees and some operation in the ministry, which is not addressed at all the agricultural issues in the country. As you know, the agriculture is not an easy for the investment of the agriculture. Our government, since we got out from Sudan, up to now, it has not addressed the issue of agriculture properly. I think Mr. Edward, the coordinator of this meeting, is used to come in the parliament in every budget and used to sit with us. We fought so many times to raise the budget to at least 5%, but we failed. I don't know why, because all the ministers of the finance who has been passed by this ministry, I think all of them, they came from the agricultural areas. But when they came to term of agriculture and the budget of agriculture, they are not looking at it at all. The people here, we are in a country, the people look at only the security and the peace, and which is not also bad. But we need this time and in this moment where the whole world now are facing with the COVID-19. I think the whole world now will talk about themselves. They will not talk about the other people. So we need our government at this time to focus actually in agricultural issues. And we hope this budget, which is coming 2020 and 2021, to give at least 3% or 5% to the agricultural activities. I met a meeting with the ministry and the two ministers, and they are very good people. And I asked them this time to go before the preparation of the budget, to go and sit with the Ministry of Finance and all the team of the budget preparation, and to go also, even this time we are preparing, if we got a chance to go to the president, all of us, all the stakeholders who are working in the agricultural activities in the country, all of us want to meet at least the budget of the agriculture in this coming budget. I think I have touched the question that you asked me.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable. I think it's a very good commitment that you have made, that we really need to meet the president to really meet and discuss with him on how to implement this framework of the Malabo Declaration about the 10% allocation.
Yes.
To see that
I'm not getting you.
The appointment is fixed, and then we are able.
I'm not getting
me.
You.
Can you hear me now?
Can you repeat it again, please?
Hi, Honorable.
Yes, I'm listening.
Oh yeah. So what we are saying is it's very important commitment that you have come up clearly with that we need to meet the president now to see how this can move forward. We have also picked from you that we really need to also extend our advocacy role towards the Ministry of Finance. Let's make sure that we extend this to them. We will always get back to you for more additional clarification and then and any other information that we might need. But before, we are running out of time completely. Can we go now to Mishek Malo? Mishek Malo?
Yes.
If you are available, what is exactly the role of FAO in supporting government to implement this framework of Malabo Declaration?
I think as one of the things in the Malabo Declaration is about the country level process. We we have to domesticate Malabo so that the various areas in which we need to report to, according to the Malabo Declaration scorecard, are able to be reflected. For instance, the first area that we've just described now about the national budget that goes into agriculture, we've been able to see the 0.3%. But as you are aware, there's been a lot of work that is ongoing on how do you exactly calculate this amount. Is it an accumulation on the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources, and the Ministry of Livestock or Fisheries? Or could we consider, as the person of having the person from the financier, certain sectors that are contributing within the value chain into that? So that area of the domestication of the CADE process and in-country processes that enhance this is something very important. One. The second area that I see that FAO can work on is evidence-based planning. We have just mentioned from, I've loved what the foreign affairs, not foreign, the finance person has said, Deng Tong, that how are the ministers, the two ministers, going to prepare themselves to negotiate with the Ministry of Finance and with the various arms of government to be able to get the finance
Hello? Hello?
that is able to move evidence, that they give evidence to the powers that be. Yes?
We are losing you, Mr. Mesha.
Hello?
Then you can continue.
No, I was hearing some. So those two areas are some of the important areas I see FAO could come in. Thank you.
Hello, can I come in there? Hello?
Is this
Yes.
Laga?
Yes, I think the calculations as Misak was talking about, this calculation is taking these sectors of the ministries that are involved in agriculture thing. So all these are all one, Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries, and then the Ministry of Environment. The calculation was right in a sense. It's not really that 0.3 is coming from the Ministry of Agriculture alone. So I think the best way is to understand this as we are under 0 point budget that is coming allocation. So honorable member of parliament, which is there, I think this is your work, because it's you to, as a watchdog, you will be able to monitor us. How much are we doing in these sectors? You don't only need to focus on agriculture alone, focus on agricultural sector in your approach to put us, the government, accountable is on this matter. You said together, all this agriculture sector budget is 0.3. So I think it is what if it is coming to maybe 4 or 5, or then the other one would come from the other side of contribution from donors. For example, if support from FAO is coming, then we also calculate, translate that into how much percentage is this percent of agriculture support from the rest of the other things as well, including others.
Okay.
Like
So, John Pangej.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, John Pangej.
Go ahead.
Oh. Yes, I think we we are really, yes, I think, thank you so much. You are really raising a very important questions, but unfortunately we are really running out of time. We will follow it up and we will make sure that we compile some of these important view from you, and we will also come to you and make sure that the report will always be shared.
Yes, seems we have lost the moderator, Mr. Edward. There are some few questions that were being asked by the some of the participants, and this comes from Janice James. She's saying that she would like to draw the attention of the panelists, especially the chairperson of the Food Security Committee and the RACSS stipulates that policies and programs should be in place within 3 months of the transition government. Moreover, in the spirit of the agreement, these policies must be fully functional for sustainable development. I think that was a comment. But from Alvi Imtiaz saying that given the alarming food security situation, is there any additional allocation of the government funds to the Ministry of Agriculture? I think we have the chairperson of Agriculture Committee as well as honorable from the Ministry of Agriculture. If you can respond to the question.
I want to clarify to Mr. Malo before because he directed me as a finance representative, but I'm the chairperson of the Food Security and Agriculture. And food security and agriculture, I think it is conforming of 3 ministries. It is oversight 3 ministries. I mean 2 ministries: the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Livestock. So when I talk about the food security budget, I talk about these 2 ministries. And these 2 ministries in the budget, all their budget is less than 3% even of the whole budget. Now we are fighting and we are talking, and also I directed my ministers, the minister and his deputy and his team in the agriculture, that you supposed to start fighting from now, from the preparation of the budget, before the budget could go to the Council of Ministers. In the Council of Ministers also, the 2 ministers have a chance to talk and to increase the budget. That is why also I said that we have to join all of us, those who are concerned about the agriculture and food security in the country, to join all of us and to see the president and talk with the president about the Malabo Declaration, that which was signed in the Malabo Declaration. All the countries who are signed, they're supposed to raise the budget of the agriculture and food security to 10%. At least, if our country now is facing some problems in security and peace and so on, let us fight to get 3 or 5% to agriculture, at least to develop the agricultural and food security institution in the country. That is what I said. All of us, we are fighting since we came to the parliament, and also we are urging the government and the Minister of Finance, especially because the Minister of Finance is teaching us something which is not in the whole world, that the budget could be the ceiling and there's no more elaboration and there's no more discussion about the budget. This is what is facing us all of this time in the parliament. We are talking as the parliament and as the representative of the people that this budget for the agriculture and food security is not enough, and it's not even develop the agriculture sector in the country. So we are talking all of this when we came to the parliament, and now I think I have 3 years in this committee talking with all different ministers of finance who has passed by this ministry. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Let me just, this is Mesha Kefeo.
Okay.
Thank you so much, and apologies. I confused you with one of our brothers in finance with almost the same name. But I really support you, and I want to say that I really look forward to having a catch up with you and to offer FAO support to your committee. So I really hope that we'll have some time to catch up and put our energies together to move towards better investment in the food and agriculture sector. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So Justin, can you pick up again? There are some few questions here. I don't know whether it can be responded to by now. Justin, I think you did ask some few questions.
Yes, I highlighted two of them. One was
question and answers, isn't it?
Yes, one was the comment and one was the question, which I think it has already been answered. And then we had a hand raised by Mr. Petel Omude, and I see he has written a question saying that with only 0.3% allocated to agriculture, how much has gone for agricultural activities and farmer support services rather than human resource and operations? That's Peter from GIZ.
Maybe the DG, the Director General, Leju can respond to that now. Dr. Leju.
Question, please. Hello?
Edward.
Yes.
What
Dr.
is the
Leju?
question Dr. Leju asking? Yeah.
The question to Dr. Leju is, given the alarming food security situation, with only 0.3% budget allocated to agriculture, how much has gone for agricultural activities as farmer support services rather than human resource and operation? This is Peter from GIZ, Peter Lomude from GIZ.
That how much will this 0.3 come back?
Let me tell you honestly, for the last 3 or 4 years, we have not been receiving any of that 0.3 budget for the activities in the field. So we are talking, but we are not practicing what we talk. For the last 3 to 4 years, nothing has been released from the Minister of Finance for the activities that we have annual for improvement of the farmers' production, for purchase of seeds, extension, and other things. We are only relying on development partners like FAO, World Food Program, and those other organizations that are helping the farmers in purchasing and giving the farmers the seeds and tools that they require. So there is something wrong with the government and all the activities that we do. We must improve that, Honorable MP, because we are talking, but we are not implementing those.
Yeah, it's noted. It's noted. Thank you very much. I think it's very clear investment in agriculture. It's for the operation of the ministries. So when we look at the capital investment into agriculture, it's basically nothing based on the findings of the consultant as well. So we will have to move faster as we conclude. There is Lazar Miki from Israel. He really wanted to say something in just less than a minute. Lazar, are you available? Hello, Lazar. Okay, I think Lazar is not there. So as we summarize, we come in, we would like to give a minute to each panelist to really get for us a way forward based on this discussion.
Good afternoon, I'm here.
Oh, you are here. Oh, welcome then. Welcome, Lazar.
Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Miki Lazar. I'm from Israel, from an entity called ML Advisory and Programs Development. And also we deal with sustainable world development. Especially we are looking at South Sudan because I was engaged with South Sudan during 2014-15. And I have an idea about the situation. I heard that the government of South Sudan is interested in public-private partnerships and especially in water and energy management. And my question, if I can have some details on that from the Honorable DGs about the approach to the PPP, because we have a very innovative solution tailored for the South Sudanese context in terms of energy and water management. So I'd appreciate some details about the policy related to PPP. We understand that in South Sudan, the financial constraints are very significant. So we are capable to bring on board some capacities. Therefore, I would like to have some idea about the PPP policy. Hello?
Pangech, who is coming up?
Hello?
Yes, Pangech, you are there. Can you answer on the PPP approach?
Yeah, I think, thank you very much. But the government is when you're having a PPP approach, is public investment. It means there are two people that are involved. I think on equal budgeting. From our side as government, also we can provide technical personnel. And then the person wanted to work with that. For example, let us take example like, for example, we wanted to have irrigated agriculture. And therefore we can then see to it that, okay, these irrigation facilities, we have to share the cost. This is what actually we mean by this. And also in terms of all scheme that is government, private sector led, is actually jointly done. Both expertise can be provided from both sides, including finances. And that's what exactly we want. For South Sudan, we don't want to depend on rain-fed agriculture only. That's why we have irrigation development master plan to ensure that we really co-share this. It's a government, private-led initiative to ensure that we have irrigated agriculture. So I think this is basically what it is.
Okay.
Okay. What I would like to
thank you so much.
What I would like to suggest that later on through South Sudanese Agriculture Production Union, we'll have a session for me to present the concept that I think it's very relevant for South Sudan, and I'll be grateful to present it to the relevant stakeholders.
Well, that will be fine. I think Lazar, I think, is a very good thinking that we need to see that concept note as well as government. I think together we will be able to move somewhere.
Thank you very much. I think
okay.
will.
You're welcome.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. We are already coming to the end of our program. Can we now have a way forward from each of the panelists? Can I begin with Mishek Malo? Mishek Malo, what do you think, in just less than 1 minute, what do you think is the way forward now?
I think the Malabo framework creates a good basis for us to undertake a peer review even within ourselves as a country. And we can look at, in a more logical way again, to look at the various areas and see to it that we are coming up with plans and investment towards that. For instance, on the issue of ending hunger by 2025, I think for South Sudan, given the water resources, given the rain resources, what was lacking was the peace dividend. I think with the peace dividend, we can look at it and work together more faster to eliminate this hunger by 2025. Although we start late, we've got the resources and the people who can quickly be able to get the lost time. And as we've discussed, the investment in these sectors, even including the private sector, as has been raised before, will be very important. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's noted. Michael Kenyi, Professor.
to say in this concluding remarks here as a way forward is how we continue to raise the voice of the farmers. This should be number one in the training. Malabo Declaration could be part of the training to all the partners and the farmers in the center. Number two, let us encourage, also support the farmers in the planning and monitoring. Even they have their own knowledge, they have their community-based indicators. Number three, let us support the institutions and the structures, especially in policy development and the data collection and analysis and reporting. Number four, let us promote the networking and linkages of all the partners so that at least they'll be able to pull together the resources of the investment in agriculture. So the UN, the NGOs, the government, all let them have a one basket, that this is the basket which is for 2021, 2021, this is the basket from all the partners. Let them put all the basket together so that the chairperson in the parliament will be able to say that this is what the deficit that we have in the government, and then the partners will be able to support it. And finally, let us increase the participation of farmers, particularly the South Sudan Agriculture Producers Union in the national, regional, and the global fora. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dr. George Leju, the way forward.
Malabo Declaration and the biennial review report is actually a landmark that is giving us a step forward, what we can do to improve.
Okay, Leju, you are done?
Yes?
Yeah, okay.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you now, yeah.
So number one is that we must intensify giving farmers their needs for them to improve their production and productivity. Number two, we would like to have a teamwork in collection of data from the various ministries that are concerned with activities, like statistical data for production, statistical data for export, statistical data for trade. These are very important so that we know where we are and where we are going. Thirdly, we need to have a very close relationship with the honorable MP so that he can be able to lobby and find out what we can do for that. And thirdly, it is very important. We cannot do any production productivity without financial assistance. We need that financial assistance to be given to the farmers so that farmers can now improve their activities, not only at government level, but even at the private sector level, where we can encourage the financial institutions to give loans and whatever it is to the farmer to increase their production and productivity. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. My last remark is, first and foremost, we need transparency in terms of working relationship, both NGOs and also government. And then number two, we need to look at collective and also collaboration approach, both starting from planning and also implementation. And then we monitor work together and so forth. I think we would then be able to reach somewhere together. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think only left with the honorable. Honorable then.
It's us.
Honorable. Honorable?
Edward, hello? Edward, are you there?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, it seems like we have lost the honorable. Yeah, maybe you can proceed with the program.
It's already coming to an end, so we have to invite Joy Mozinga, who is the coordinator for Eastern and Southern Africa Farmers Forum, to have a closing remark. Otherwise, from SAPU, we thank everybody for participating. We thank the panelists for sparing the time to digest this for us. We will produce a report on this. We'll make sure that we share with everyone, and then with all the way forward, and then we look forward to continue working with everyone. Joy, you are welcome.
Hello, thank you, Mr. Ugo. And
It's Joy or Irene? Is it Irene coming?
No, Joy is here.
Oh, okay, okay. Joy, you are welcome then.
Good afternoon, good evening now. I think we're approaching good evening. Thank you very much. I was struggling to get connected, but I'm lucky that I'm connected. Thank you very much for a lively discussion. That was really wonderful, and we are very grateful to SAP. We're very grateful to Edward Lenz and the technicians for making this happen. We are glad that South Sudan submitted the first biannual review report this last year, and luckily enough, Sudan is not the last one. In fact, is better than even big countries like South Africa by a point, of course. Sudan scored about 2.89 or so ahead of different countries in the region. Combining the East Africa and also the Southern Africa. So we are grateful that this debate is a starting point, and we can see a lot coming 2021, 2022. So we thank you everyone for participating, and we as the Eastern and Southern Africa Small Scale Farmers Forum, we're very glad that SAP has managed to organize and bring all stakeholders together. So moving forward, Uganda has done the post-budget debate, and we are looking forward to have other countries in the Eastern and Southern Africa doing such a debate. So thank you again, and we wish you all the best, looking forward to achieve the Malabo by 2024. Thank you again, and thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you. A greeting from South Sudan and the Bay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.